Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So this video is going to be what I read in the month of April. So I read 9 books this month, and it's not good because usually I read more than that. I just didn't read like at all for the first week because it was spring break. Okay, let's get started. So I was kind of late to these books. So the first book I read is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, and this is the first book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. And this story follows Rowan and Zara. And Rowan's grandpa owns like this amusement park, and people compare it to Walt Disney, and I completely agree. So basically it's just like a Walt Disney type beat. So his grandfather unfortunately passed away, but he leaves Rowan and all of his brothers like kind of a challenge that they have to do to get their inheritance. So Rowan's thing that he has to do for his grandfather is he has to fix what's wrong basically with amusement park, and Rowan hires like a team of people like trying to figure out what could be wrong, what needs to be fixed. And then that's when he stumbles upon Zara, and she's very opinionated. She's an employee there. Long story short, she gets promoted to help figure out what happened. They're definitely enemies to lovers right away, but then you can see that Rowan has an insane soft spot for Zara, and it's so cute. It's like a Grumpy Sunshine type beat. I thought this book was super cute. The smell was good, and I thought that like there's like a deeper meaning kind of within Zara, and I rated this a 4.5 out of 5. Okay, next book we read Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher, the second book in the series. And this story follows Rowan's brother Declan and then Declan's assistant Iris. His grandfather basically said that he has to marry someone and have kids with them to get his inheritance. And so his assistant Iris tries to set up someone for him to do that with. Basically, she ends up agreeing to marry him and having his kids. And it's not a spoiler because it's literally the first like chapter of the book that you find out. They care for each other, but they won't admit it. I will say that Cal, the third brother, I can't wait for his book. And I love him so much. Like, he's my favorite character. Like, the part that he played in this book, especially with Iris, I loved him so much. The smut in this book was really good, and I liked how Iris really brought Declan out of his shell. She's the one that kind of saved him. She's a baddie. I love her so much. I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars. Next up this month, I read this is the Renegades trilogy, and I read the first book last month, and I rated it a 4 out of 5, and then I was like, okay, I want to pick this up because, you know, I want to finish the series because I liked it. And I ended up loving it, like, loving it. Like, I instantly put so many of my friends on it, like, this series. So the second book in particular is my absolute favorite. Like, there's no topping this book. And then I loved the third book. I thought the ending just wrapped everything up really nicely. So I rated both of these 5 out of 5. So I'm just gonna give a synopsis of the whole series. So the story follows Nova and Adrian. They have powers, and Adrian has like his team. His fathers are basically the government, and his team are considered the good guys, and they're called the Renegades. And then we have Nova. Her uncle is kind of the leader of the bad guys or whatever, and they're called Archnists, and Nova hates the Renegades for a reason that you'll find out literally the first chapter of the first book, but I'm not gonna spoil it. So they're like enemies, like they're rivals. They both hate each other, they both want to take each other down, and Nova ends up going to spy on the Renegades, and it goes from there, and she meets Adrian, which becomes a problem. The second book, Nova and Adrian were just amazing, and the betrayal, once he inevitably finds out who she really is, it's amazing. Like, this is the exact reason why my favorite trope is betrayal trope, because of this exact series. Okay, next up, Please Don't Hate Me. I've been a reader literally since I could read, and the fact that I haven't read this series until now, you can hate on me all you want, okay? You can hate on me all you want. I just have been in love with the movies. Like, I've been in love with them as long as I can remember. So has my mom, and I felt like reading it I would either hate it or love it more, and I just didn't want to. And then I was like, okay, I finally have to. So I did. I was right not to read it because I liked I liked the movie so much more. If you don't already know what Twilight is, then I'm just not gonna give a synopsis, because if you don't know what Twilight is, then you're living underneath a rock. Anyways, so yeah, I rated this book a 4 out of 5 because I liked it. I just didn't love it. Like, I just loved the movie so much more. Like, this one, the books felt like more of like an immature version, and I felt like if it was written exactly how the movies were, then I would have absolutely loved this. Another book I'm late to the game with, Sweetest Oblivion. I've been holding off this book until I got all 3 of them, so I did, and then I finally read it. This book, I loved it. I loved it. I rated a 4.5 out of 5, and the story follows Elena and Nico, and Nico is arranged to marry Elena's sister, but her and Nico have like a strange attraction to one another. They just have this connection, and they're just sexually attracted to each other. So it just follows them. This is a mafia romance, if you didn't already know. I really liked this book a lot, especially when he burnt down the gas station and pushed her into the pool, which sounds like red flags, but with Nico it's not, but whatever. Next up, we have Gaslight by Rachel Rose, and I originally read this book on Wattpad, and if you guys didn't know, this is the first book that got me into reading on Wattpad, so of course I had to get the paperback. But this story follows Hayden and Maddie, and Maddie moves across the country with her mom to live with her aunt and her aunt's husband and his sons, and she ends up going to this boxing match one night with her step cousins, and then she ends up meeting Hayden, and he is a really good boxer. And long story short, Maddie asks Hayden to train her, and there's a reason why she wants him to train her, and he does, and they just grow from there. You get to see her compete, you get to see her train, and I'm a boxer myself, so of course I loved this book. But yeah, I rated this book a 5 out of 5. Next up, we have Twisted Games by Anna Hong. Yeah, the thing is, I loved the first book. I rated the first book a 4.5 out of 5. Like, I loved the first book. This book, I'm just gonna be blunt. I did not like it. So this is a bodyguard romance, and the girl is actually a princess. Bridget and Rise are their names, and which Bridget is a friend of Ava's, and Ava is the girl in the first book, Twisted Love. I loved Rise as a character. I loved the smut so much. I hated the plot. I hated the plot, and I hated everything about this except for Rise as a character and the smut. There were so many time jumps in this book. I almost DNF'd this so many times. Like, they'll have one scene together, and all of a sudden it's like 6 weeks later, and then they don't talk for like 6 months. They talk again. 2 weeks later they say hi to each other. 2 weeks later they say hi again. Like, this short book was a series of like almost 3 years, and yeah, I felt like I just missed so much with them. I just didn't like it at all. Like, I do not recommend this book. Like, the smut was good, but that was about it. I only finished it because I needed to finish it. Yeah, and it was so weird because like the first half of the book, living at home or whatever, they're normal, and then all of a sudden she moves to her kingdom and she becomes a princess. Like, I just thought it was super weird. Like, pick a lane, you know, like what I mean? But yeah, I rated this a 2 out of 5, and I only rated it that high because of the smut and because of Rise, because I loved Rise. I just didn't like this book. Last but not least, we have another 5-star read, Serpent and Dove. I loved this book so much. I literally just finished. I read this in one day, and then I literally just went to get the second book, which I've heard bad reviews about, but you will see that video coming up soon, okay? Anyways, the story follows Lou and Reed, and Lou is a witch, and this is based in the 17th century, so witches were killed if they were discovered. And so obviously she has to keep her identity hidden, and she ends up bumping into Reed. Long story short, they have to end up getting engaged. So she has to live with him at this church with all of his other soldier people. That's all I'm gonna say because it's kind of hard to talk about this book without spoiling anything. But I loved Lou. Like, I loved her so much. I loved their relationship. I loved Reed. I loved every single character in this book so much. Like, I loved them so much. Everyone. So I don't know how I possibly can't like the second book, but I've heard so many bad reviews on it. I'm just like, I haven't seen a single good review on it. So we'll see. Okay, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and got some good recommendations and good reviews. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe, comment down below book recommendations and also videos you want to see, and if you agreed with any of my books that I talked about today. But yeah, hope you guys have an amazing day or night.